Hello friends, welcome to our channel. In this tutorial, we are going to cover human in the loop concept in LangGraph based AI agents. What is human in the loop? Human feedback, human input to AI agent to do certain thing in a certain way, right? Basically, human say, hey AI agent, I want to get this task done, but AI agent respond back with some response, whatever, and human takes a look into that, provide the feedback to the AI agent, and accordingly the whole workflow, the whole task that human has given to AI agent is completed, right? So in the simplest case, it may not be required, but normally when we say complex case or real world scenario, then it is needed. So in order to introduce this particular, you can say, human in the loop concept in the logic, we are going to learn this, okay? How we can introduce in the LangGraph based AI agent whenever you are writing the code for the AI agent, okay? So before that, let's quickly see through use cases, and then I'm going to walk you through pre-built React agent. When you create pre-built React agent, how we can introduce this particular concept, and similarly if you want to create the custom agent, how we can introduce that. Okay, so what are the use cases? First is reviewing tool call. What is reviewing tool call? Basically, when we make use of the tool call based AI agent are basically make use of the tool call. This is the core of the core of the AI agent. So whenever we make a request to the AI agent respond back with the tool name and the argument by which the tool can be invoked. If you want to interrupt that particular invocation, you can interrupt it using the interrupt function provided by LangGraph, and then you can collect the user input. And after that, you want to resume that particular execution, you can make use of the command API of LangGraph to resume the execution. So this is how it works. Now, reviewing the tool call is user actually sees through what is the tool name, what arguments the AI LLM respond back with, whether it is correct to call this particular tool or not. Whatever decision the user is going to make is what the reviewing of tool call. Second is validating LLM output. If the LLM output, if we want to confirm whether that output is correct or not, we can actually send back this response to UI, and user can see the response from the LLM looking into the, like, maybe terminal or a complete UI or web application. User can provide the input, and accordingly AI will adjust the output. Okay, third is providing context. Like if you want to provide the additional context or the initial context, we can ask directly from the user and provide it to the LLM. These are the three use cases that we are teaching you or learning about, okay, related to human in the loop. Now let's understand how we can make use of the human in the loop basis on what agent you are creating. If you are going to create the AI agent using LangGraph provided React agent function, then how we can do it? So let's first see through this, and then we will see the custom agent one. Okay. Now in this case, but in this particular case, what we are doing, we are simply creating the agent using LangGraph pre-built React function, and then we are making use of the interrupt before or interrupt after argument to interrupt the tool call before or after. Okay, after the tool, before or after the tool invocation, and then we invoke the graph, and then the interruption happen. Obviously, if we are supplying it before the tool call, interruption happen before invocation of the tool call. This happens, and then we collect the user input using the input function of the Python, and then finally we are manipulating the graph using that input, and then resuming the agent invocation. Okay, so let's quickly see in the VS Code how we can run this particular program. So this particular VS Code, this repository is public. I have already sharing this link in last video tutorial as well. So I'm going to put this particular repo link in the description box as well. So this particular project is set up using UV. If you are not familiar with UV, you can definitely go back to my earlier videos and watch through it. But in this case, what we are doing, we have created a script. Like you want to execute it using UV, you execute it. Like if you look into this particular tool, React agent with human in the loop, as well as graph with human, which is nothing but custom graph. So you can execute by simply invoking this using UV run command, or you can simply set up the Jupyter notebook within the VS Code and run this directly. Okay, I'm going to show you with this particular Jupyter notebook in the VS Code approach quickly. So this particular code, let me walk you through. Initially, we are installing pip using UV. This is how we are going to invoke it, and then finally, like, this is the import statements. Let me execute it first, and this is the import statement necessary for this program. Okay, and this is what the program is all about. We have initializes the chat OpenAI with the GPT-4o and the API using this. And this is particularly, this function is actually nothing but a tool which we are supplying to the agent, which is nothing but get weather, which is very simple function. In your case, it could be complex, maybe something so maybe something related to uh, summarizing the text, etc., written from the AI, right? So this is the tool, then simply initialize the tools array, and then we are making use of the short-term memory approach. We are in memory approach. In a production based application, you can go with the persistence DB like database, MongoDB, etc. So you ideally, this is what in the production database looks like. A production based AI agent looks like. You need to go with the long-term memory approach. Okay. So then we are making use of the create React agent function to create the agent using the pre-built React agent provided by LangGraph. Okay. So this is what I was talking about interrupt before. Okay. So you want to interrupt, you need to interrupt it before or after the tool invocation. And since we have provided this before, so before actually invoking this particular get weather function, it gets interrupted, and accordingly it asks for it waits for the user input. Not exactly the wait, we can say it just, we have to continue it with the user input. Okay, so let me just execute this, and then this is already executed. Like, this is what the diagram is all about. Okay, and this is the graph, and finally this is what I am doing currently. So this thread ID is representing the chat conversation, unique chat conversation, and this input is nothing but the actual query. What is the weather in SF, CA? It is basically a query to the LLM. LLM respond back, okay, I can make a call to get weather with this particular argument. Okay, so let me just execute this and show you how we can do that. So what it does, it actually collects the response from the LLM, and then this particular statement says, hey, you are halted here, and then we are continuing with affirmation. Basically here we are saying, hey, you can continue. With none, we have to supply the none. So this is how we are going to continue with the execution. Okay, if this is at this point we are interrupted, and this is the continuation. Okay, let me run this. If you look into this output, this is the question, this is the query to the LLM, this is the response. Response contain tool calls, and the tool name is get weather. This is the argument. Okay, now after that we have supplied the continuation. So what it does, so it continue, it calls, and that function do not have any provision for California, so that's why it shows us assertion error, right? So this is one of the case. We are simply saying continuation directly using this line. Okay? You need to supply the none in this. So instead of using graph.stream, you can still make use of graph.invoke. This is just for the illustration purpose. You need to see what is happening. You can make use of the graph.stream. Okay? And then we have the second case where we are again, this logic is exactly same that we have written in earlier case. The difference here is we are directly manipulating the tool call response written by the AI, and then we are resuming it. So we are updating the state of the graph, and then we are resuming with the help of graph.stream, this particular one. Okay, so that way it actually takes up the user input and then resume it. So let me run this again and show you. So in this case, it does not do the assertion error. We are supplying the user input, and it gives us the final output. It's always sunny in SF. So in this way, if you look into this program, it is always going to interrupt before actually invoking the tool, because this is what we have supplied in the interrupt before. And then we are collecting the user input and supplying it to the AI agent basically, and then it runs accordingly. So this is how we are doing it human in the loop in case of agent created by create React agent function provided by LangGraph. Now the second approach is custom agent basically. In why we are creating custom agent, because it gives us additional capability. If you want to interrupt on a specific tool instead of every tool call or before every tool, if you want to interrupt, suppose you are having 3 tools A, B, C. If you want to interrupt before invocation of B, then you can do it with this custom graph approach or custom agent approach. Okay, and this is very flexible, so you can go with this approach. So what we are doing here, nothing fancy, a normal graph we're creating. We are adding agent node, tool node. Explicitly we have created a node, agent node, tool node, human review node, and adding it to the graph, and then we are adding a conditional edge. And then finally, in this particular human review node, we are making use of the interrupt function to halt the execution of the node, so that we can ask input from the user and then continue. Okay, so invoke the graph. Since we have the interrupt in this particular node, it will get halted, and then we collect the user input, and then in order to resume it, we need to make use of the command API with the resume. This particular argument, resume argument, will take the user input. Okay, and then in this way, either we want to resume it directly with the help of user input, but this particular case, in this case, we are not only resuming, we are manipulating the graph state as well, both together. So in this case, we are passing resume argument. In this case, we are passing update argument. Everything remains the same. Instead of resume, we are using update. So what we are saying, update the state as well and then resume. Here we are saying simply resume with the user input. That's it. So let us see in the VS Code quickly. This is the notebook for this particular custom agent one. Let me close this one with the discard, don't save. And everything remains the same in at the starting. So executing it. And then this is, in this case, this is the tool. Weather search is a tool that we are supplying to the agent, and then binding this particular tool to this particular model. Okay. And in this case, for creating a custom agent, we have to supply the state class with the messages state. This is provided by LangGraph itself, and what it is an object. It is basically a state of messages array, a list of messages like this as a state. Okay, this list of messages as a state, and then we are creating agent node which simply invoke the AI. That's it. And then we have a human review node which takes up the response written by the LLM, and we checks for the tool calls, and then we interrupt immediately. And if we already collected the input, it will get the data from this human review object, and then according to, if you want to continue normally, we simply invoke the, we simply go to the tool node, tool is executed. Otherwise, if we say update, it manipulates the tool calls response written by the AI and then continue, right? And the third case is, if we are preview action is feedback, then what we are doing, we are manipulating the tool message that we are supplying to the AI, and AI will take it as a feedback and accordingly respond back. So all the use cases are covered in this particular scenario. Okay. And this is a tool node. It's nothing but tool invocation, basically calling the function with the argument supplied by the AI. Okay. And that's it. This is what the tool node is doing. And this is the graph initialization: add node, add node, add node, agent node, tool node, human review node. And then starting with the agent node makes a call to the AI. And then this is conditional edge. It decides whether the AI agent respond back with the tool calls in that JSON response or not. If not, this is the end of the overall life cycle of this particular solution. Otherwise, go to the human review node. Okay. In the human review node, it checks again. I already gone through that particular logic. It interrupt here. As soon as it interrupts, it halted. And what we are doing, let me just first execute this particular block of code. After execution, let us see what is happening. This is what the diagram is all about, and this is what the use case I am going to show you. So this is the query: what is the weather in San Francisco? And then we are invoking with the user input. Okay, and after that, it halts. When I call this particular block, it halts. It stops. Basically, it stops. Now, if you see pending execution, it stops as soon as AI returns back. Okay, it returns back with the tool calls. This is what the AI response is. It halts. Now, what we are going to do? We are going to say, hey, you have to resume it with the input as continue. So we are supplying this user input as continue. Instead of typing in continue, you can simply make use of the input function provided by Python, or it could be an API call from the UI to the backend that gives us the continue as a word in the input. Okay, it is not restricted to terminal only. If you are creating a production grade AI agent solution, then you can make use of the persistence DB storage to store the checkpoint state and resume it with the help of user input coming from the API call. Okay, and then it is simply getting resumed. Command resume. Okay, there is no manipulation of the graph itself. If I call this, so it's simply resuming it. That's it. So when it resumes, it simply print the output of that function. It basically says that, hey, you just go ahead and call the function. That's it. Now, if the second case is manipulating, updating the state graph along with the user input. For that, let me just quickly run it again. And then let us just resume it using this particular approach. Take the argument, tool argument, ourself, we are supplying the tool argument, manipulating the response written by the AI, okay, and then resuming it. Okay. So now in this case, let us resume it. So if you look into this, here we are not only resuming it, we are manipulating the response provided by the AI and then resuming it. Okay. So this way we are understanding how we can make use of the human input while execution of the AI agent solution. Correct. So if you look into this, this is the final response. Okay. So in this way, we understood if you make a agent using pre-built React agent by LangGraph, how we have to introduce the concept of human in the loop, as well as if you are making a AI agent using custom graph approach, how we can introduce the concept of human in the loop. Although this is a very basic concept, basic ideation, how we can approach it. But if you look into this particular example, you might think that you may not, like, this is not a real case. Like I'm a developer, I'm using it, I am writing everything. What is the need of it? But the idea is we need to understand it. Like you can create your AI agent end-to-end solution, like a chat interface on the top, backend database, LangGraph in the backend as a backend service, right? UI talks to backend service talk to the AI agent service. Maybe you create a separate service for representing an AI agent that have this particular code. Then you can hold whenever the interrupt happen, you store it in the database, that particular state, and then you can ask the user input from the UI, and then take that input, manipulate the state graph, make use of the command resume or command update approach to continue with the AI agent flow, and continue the entire solution will get executed. And this way we can create end-to-end solution using human in the loop concept. I hope you understand this concept very well. If you like this video tutorial, hit the bell icon for further notification, like this and comment on this video. If you do not understand it, I will again cover it up in detail, and I'm coming up with other further videos, so it will again boost me to create such videos. So please subscribe to this channel, and thank you so much for watching. Thank you. Bye bye.